Well, that was a fun coincidence. The previous video ended, and it ended exactly as it did. So, as I was saying, you wake up as if from a dream. You just come to. But you're not in a place. It's just isness, awareness of isness. And in this darkened awareness of isness, you are able to put together the fullness, the totality of your experiences. And together, synergistically, they can provide you with what feels fake because you realize it's been pretend the whole time. You peel the veil back from the mirror and see God. And I'm not talking about individuals. I'm not making a claim about me, this guy. I'm talking about all of us. All of us. At the end, get done with it, come out of the pod, look in the mirror, and see God. Doesn't look like any one of us, but looks like all of us. So, because of that, as context necessary for the understanding of the less rationalized to rectifying reality, the simulation asserting itself kind of thing, as to explain some of this weird ass behavior that some people do. I'll give you some insights, my own experiences. First and foremost, there are times that I myself seem to, without thinking, unconsciously or subconsciously, depending, happen to be the one that says something. That someone else finishes a sentence or vice versa. So the question is, when you think that you've got people being weird around you, are you shooting them a dirty look? Are you like, Because if you are, you might just end up being a reflection in the mirror, as it were. Have you been paying attention in the last 2 minutes? A reflection, as it were, of what you see other people doing. Now, I also got to say, there is a phenomenon afoot that is called a mass formation. And when enough people are in the same formation, doing the same thing, it can lead to dangerous things. Now, does this not sound a bit like that collective sub that I described in the last video? It is the inward-driven paranoia of the outside. It is everyone being secretly xenophobic on some level, keeping to themselves. We are so worried about all of this other nonsensical responses and reactions. Is this person going to be one of them crazies? Are they going to go at me? Am I going to have to use this gun? All the questions. It's intrusive, for one thing. Yes, there are people who are malignant, maleficent, or malicious, but not all of them. The causes and reasons behind that, rationally speaking, in the worldly way, has to do with parenting, upbringing, trauma, as well as cultural indoctrination and decay. It's not an actual battle. It's not an us versus them either. Unless the will of God is for humanity to consume itself in civil war. And if that's the case, goes back to what I was talking about in the last one about thought we were on the right path. Are we sure this change needs to be made? Are we looking at the right source? Collect checksum. Again, more resembling a simulation. But at the very end, in the end, it is kind of. It is through the process of the existence of so many people with so many conditions and interactions that basically every possible human experience that can be had is had, and collectively goes to that higher power, which is also responsible for the lower power. One way of looking at the effect, the phenomenon, that is more spiritual is that it is possible through the valid connection of collectives. And I'm not talking about human collectives. I'm talking about the collective unconscious. I'm talking about the black hole in your dreams. Like, there's some way that we're connected, whether the dream space is a real thing or it's just a brain chemical memory storage font for an experience of connectedness. One way of thinking of this effect is that when you are thinking a thought, you are creating your reality. So, if you are powerful in the spiritual and you are wantonly creating through your thoughts, you are indulging intrusive thoughts or thinking things that are off the path of, chosen righteousness or whatever it is that you thought you were doing. Consider that one way or another, other people are affected by those things. And it may seem weird. It's not exactly telepathy. But I think even the people that don't remember any dreams, that don't think that they dream, but probably do, and the people that don't dream, soulless. The ones that actually don't. Not the ones that probably do but don't remember. But there's a reason for that. And whatever happens on the dream side of things could be a more persistent thing than we realize. And could be a great strength or an amazing downfall. But I suspect it is somehow through that this illusion of reality, of interacting with others, of not being lonely and alone, staring in a mirror, looking at God, do you understand the purpose yet? Do I need to elaborate? It just takes it in circles because I can't get directly to the point. I'm not sure anyone can accept it. Hopefully someone is intelligent enough that they can understand. All of existence is an attempt for a singular, isolated, but infinite being to not feel alone all the time. Which includes attempting to create types. And of these types, some really didn't work out, some wouldn't go away. Some, once they went away, vowed revenge, breaking off pieces of consciousness, slowly whittling its own consciousness away, keeping them from being lonely too. It's wild. All the way down to a Boltzmann brain, or a chosen one, or a prophet or a saint, or a normie, or a psychopath, or a serial killer, all the way down, little pieces of that consciousness that was like better to be split into a pile of dust than to be the only thing and be aware of the fact that it is the only thing. So don't think like you're a target. Don't think like people don't like you, don't trust you, or are after you. It is possible, if you shine a light on the spiritual plane, that yes, there will be ticks and leeches, vampires and vultures, and whatever else. Bugs. Those are also creations. But, all things considered, each individual unique piece being relatively equal, it is a matter of allowing those particles to sift themselves, which means spiritual warfare, I guess. But again, this has got to be an inability to be oblivion again. It's got to beat that. I can think of no other reason for existence in any form, and especially the way it is now for us. So, God's not dead, but God's not the same. And the other thing is that when you go directly to praying to God, it's like dialing a phone number. Only nowadays, who picks up at that is not the almighty creator of the universe, the supreme consciousness, in any way, shape, or form. It may attempt to grant you favor that makes you think your prayers have been answered, but there's always a catch. It is by familiarizing, embracing the idea of transcendence, of being here, and at the same time maintaining oneness with the true higher power, that which is eternal. But that power is not exactly conscious, because to be consciously aware is to be miserable. So, in order to not be miserable, the true higher power remains aloof, cannot be interacted with or spoken to directly, cannot be heard directly. We're talking about ripple effects. But at the same time, is all. But where we resemble it is more the shape of the inside of a mind. So, yeah, the infinite ends where they meet, the beginning and the end and all that stuff, and that weird transcendental point is its own Boltzmann brain. And I guess I'll leave it at that. In the worldly, in the rational, there are deceptive people. Even if they're also little pieces of God. Some of them are also little pieces of shit.